A few days ago, I told my coach something crazy. I said, I feel like I'm not working hard enough. She looked at me like I lost my mind, because when we looked at my list of what I did over the past week, the list was massive. Podcasts, videos, writing my book, workshops, working with clients, and somehow I still felt like I wasn't working. When I think back about that conversation, it completely changed how I think about work, passion, and purpose. And if you've ever felt like you're not doing enough, well, then this might explain why. So I'm sitting with my coach, Merritt, and I'm telling her how I just feel like I'm in a rut. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not working hard enough. I'm not producing. And so she says, well then, let's take a look at what you did in the last week. Let's write it all down in one place so we can see what you've actually done or maybe not done. And so the list looks like this: working on my book, Pedal for Purpose, Playmakers Academy, my reels, workshops, coaching, speaking, HVBA, that's my adult basketball league, basketball clinics, podcasts, recording a YouTube video, working on a newsletter, and then of course, being a dad, being a family member, so many other things. The list kept going, and these are all things that I had been working on or working in the last week or so. She looked at me and said, you did all of that last week? How do you think that you're not working? That's when it hit me. The reason why it didn't feel like work. It was because I was working and living within my passion. You see, when you do work that's within your purpose, within your passion, and aligns with who you are, the hours are still there, the work is still there, but the energy changes. This is something I see with leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, and speakers all the time. The minute they find work that connects with their purpose, their energy changes. They stop chasing motivation and they start living within momentum. That's when the work actually increases, but it feels lighter. So here's something to think about. What's something that you do in your life that makes time disappear? What's something that you do that doesn't feel like work? Because those moments might be pointing you directly towards your purpose. If you want to become a stronger communicator, a better leader, and build work that actually energizes you, then subscribe to the channel. And if you're passionate about what you do, drop the word passion in the comments. I'd love to find out about the work that drives you and energizes you. Well, thanks for watching. Stay happy and stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one. You're rambling and no one's listening. If you want to sound more confident immediately, then use this one communication skill: the pause. The pause helps leaders like you sound more credible in the boardroom, more persuasive in sales, and more memorable when networking. Most professionals rush when they speak. They fill the silence with words like and so and like. Tell me what you think is wrong with this statement that I'm going to make. When I first started speaking, I used to speak really, really fast. And I thought that by speaking really fast, I'd be able to share a lot of information. And a lot of that information would land with my audience so that they would really pick up on what I'm saying. Did you pick up on it? Did you hear what happened there? What I was missing in all of that was pausing. See, pausing adds credibility to what you're saying. Let me rephrase what I just said. When I first started speaking, I thought that rushing through my speeches would add more value and I'd be able to say more and it would land with my audience. Think about what I just said there. I slowed it down, you were able to hear it and let it resonate with you. By rushing through it, you actually don't get the value of what I'm saying. It actually contradicts everything I was saying. So the power of the pause, pausing is going to be your greatest strength as a leader. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how the pause helps leaders communicate with clarity, authority, and confidence in the boardroom, sales situations, and networking events. In the boardroom, pausing shows executive presence. When you pause before responding to a question, you show that you're being thoughtful. You show that you're emotionally in charge. You show that you're considering the bigger picture. Instead of rushing to speak, pause, organize your thought, and then speak with intention. Leaders who pause sound prepared, even when the conversation is unexpected. In sales, the pause builds trust. Most people talk too much when they're nervous. They try to over-communicate and over-explain. But really good communicators know to make their point, pause, and then move on. Because the pause invites the other person to think. It gives space for the client to speak. And then when the client speaks, you can actually hear what matters. The pause turns a pitch into a conversation, and conversations build relationships. When networking, the pause makes you more memorable. Most people introduce themselves quickly and then they move on. But the best communicators know that by pausing, people are going to remember you better. Think about this. At your last networking event, you might have said something that sounds like this. Hey, I'm Michael Esposito. I help leaders learn communication and lead better in boardrooms and in networking situations and in sales. And before you know it, you've walked away not really knowing what I do. Now imagine if I introduced myself to you like this. Hi, I'm Michael Esposito. I help leaders communicate more effectively in boardrooms and in sales situations. Some of those pauses might have seemed a little bit long, but they also added an element of curiosity where you might have been able to interject a question or a statement for us to connect in. It also allowed you to take what I said and let it resonate and land. Pausing adds curiosity, and it makes you more memorable when networking. As a coach, I see this transformation happen often. The moment my client pauses, their clarity increases, their confidence increases, because they're no longer rushing through to prove their point. They're allowing it to land. They're allowing their message to resonate with their audience. It looks like this. I'm a communication coach and trainer. I help executives and entrepreneurs clarify their message, speak confidently, and connect with their audience. Let's add some pauses to this. I'm a communication coach and trainer. Pause. I help executives and entrepreneurs, pause, clarify their message, pause, speak confidently, pause, and connect with their audience. Pause, because you might want to keep speaking after that. So it sounds like this. I'm a communication coach and trainer. I help executives and entrepreneurs, let that land, clarify their message, speak confidently, and connect with their audience. Pause. If you want to sound more confidently immediately, slow down. Pause. Let your ideas land. The pause gives your words weight. If you want to communicate more confidently in meetings, sales situations, networking events, then subscribe to my channel. And if you want support in developing your communication skills, then visit amplifyingyourleadership.com. I look forward to seeing you there. Stay happy and stay healthy. Leadership always talks about a positive feedback culture. But the question is, how do you create a positive feedback culture? Feedback is hard because we are focusing on something that maybe you did wrong or something that you don't like. But when feedback is done right, it actually focuses on improving your skills while acknowledging your weaknesses. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a simple framework on how to provide feedback that not only boosts your employee and your team's confidence, but creates that feedback culture that you're looking to create. I'm going to share with you my 3 C's on how to provide constructive feedback that not just helps your team improve, but will make you a better leader. Here we go. The best leaders don't leave feedback to chance. And so this simple framework is going to help you develop your team in a better way. The first C to the 3 C's of feedback is to be clear. Be clear in your feedback. And we're going to go into that in a moment. The next C in our 3 C's is to be constructive. We want to move the ball forward. We're always advancing. We're looking to get better and improve. The feedback is never to tear down, but to build. And our last C is to coach. If you were to Google the 3 C's, this last one, it's a wild card. We go with coach here because it's not about accolades. It's not about telling them what they did wrong. It's about coaching them for the next move, giving them the right tips and strategies in order to move forward. So we're gonna break this down in a 1, 2, and 3 steps for you so that you could really understand 1, 2, and 3. This one right here, that's the one that when leaders lean into, your team, your employees, the people around you are gonna love your feedback and they're gonna look for more. Stay with me. Here's our first C in our 3 C's of feedback, and it's to be clear. Brendan Burchard says, clear is kind. So here's the thing, as a leader, the mistake that we make is that we want to be too nice to our employee, our team member, or the person we're providing feedback for. And so instead of being clear and sharing with them what we think they can improve on, we say something like, hey, you did a good job, or I really liked what you did in that presentation. That's fine and all, but that's very vague. You're not providing any information for that person in order to improve. The trap that we fall into is being vague and we say, that was a great presentation. What we really want to say in order to offer clear feedback is that was a great presentation because you laid out the points very clearly. You were able to deliver the points in a way that was digestible for all of us to understand and act on. Now that's great feedback for that person to take into the next presentation and apply that feedback. The other trap again is we fall short on telling them where they need improvement. And so we might say something like, hey, that presentation was good, and I think you could get better next time. You see, we're trying to be kind, but that kindness is not helping them advance. Clear is kind when we say something like, hey, your presentation was good, but here's some areas of improvement that I see. When you presented to us, you didn't have eye contact. In your presentation, your screen, your slides were a bit busy. There was too many words on it. I think if you reduce the amount of words on your slides and break it down into a few bullet points, you'll be able to speak to us in a more conversational tone, and therefore that'll improve your eye contact and your connection with us. That's some great feedback that you just provided that team member to go back, rework their slides, and connect with you. And when you're providing feedback that resonates with your team, that helps move them forward, well, then you're awesome and you're a great leader. Stick with me for the next point. This one you're really gonna like. All right, we covered clear. Now we're gonna move on to constructive feedback. Constructive feedback is the one that we all have heard and know about, but don't really understand. Constructive feedback is the through line to all feedback because this is all about moving the ball forward, advancing to the next spot. Constructive feedback, when done well, instills confidence in your team member and in the person you're providing feedback for. So here's where we drop the ball, everybody. Here's where leaders drop the ball. Here's where we drop the ball when providing feedback. We think constructive feedback is telling them everything they did wrong. You know, the information that you were sharing was too big, too broad. I didn't understand the information. I need you to kind of dumb it down and distill it for me so I could really understand it. Or I didn't like the pictures on your slides. They didn't really resonate with you. This is all feedback that people think is constructive feedback because they think that it's helping the other person when it's really not. It's actually destroying their confidence. When you're talking about somebody mumbling, I'm going to tell you that chances are they probably already know that they don't speak clearly. Well then, Michael, what's a better way to tell somebody who's mumbling to stop mumbling? In constructive feedback, we're offering them a tip on how to improve. When you're mumbling, your lips aren't moving that much, your jaw isn't opening that much. So the tip, the constructive feedback I would give to that person that was giving a speech or a talk would be, hey, when you're practicing your speaking, work on opening your jaw more and getting some more expression in when you speak. That's gonna open this up so that you don't mumble as well. Now that's feedback where we're acknowledging the problem of mumbling and we're giving them a tip in order to move forward. Let's go back to that corporate boardroom that we might be in where the presentation fell short because the topics were too broad or the slides had pictures on it. And you want to be able to give them feedback that's constructive. So what you might say is, hey, your topics were too broad. Let's acknowledge the problem. Hey, your pictures, they didn't really resonate with us. Let's acknowledge the problem again. But now let's give them a path forward. So your ideas were too broad. Here are 3 ideas that I pulled from what you shared that I think if you spoke about these ideas that are within what you shared with us, it's going to help us understand your presentation better. And so we want to be careful in feedback, especially constructive feedback, that we're not falling on our personal preferences. It's all about acknowledging the problem, understanding what needs to be fixed, and then providing a path forward. That's what leaders do. We provide the path forward for the next team member. Speaking of the path forward, let's get into coaching. Our 3 C's of feedback: clear, constructive, and here's our 3rd one and final one. It's coaching. You have to put the coaching hat on. Coaching is all about collaboration. The coach's hat is what instills that confidence in that person that you believe in them. So how does coaching look and how does it work in the workplace? You might be a manager, you might be a C-level, or you're helping a peer out. Coaching is not about telling them what to do. It's asking them open-ended questions on what kind of feedback they need in order to move forward. So it looks like this. Hey, you gave a really great presentation. What would you like to know about that presentation that's going to help you improve for the next one? When you give that kind of feedback, when you put that coaching hat on to where you're asking them an open-ended question like that, you're letting them know that they have the answers inside of them. And that's going to help them with their confidence for the next presentation. The coaching conversation all starts with setting up and framing the conversation in a way that lets that person know you're there to help them. You see, again, a pitfall that managers and people on the higher ranks and leadership fall into is that we think our job is to manage people, is to tell them what to do. But our job is to develop people. When we put the coaching hat on, we're developing that person. We're helping them uncover and discover the best part of who they are. With the coaching hat, we recognize as a leader that that person has the answers inside of them. That when you tell them their presentation could improve, they know that already. When you offer some tips and suggestions on how they could improve, they know how to accept that feedback and use it next time. So I want you to think about the coaching way of providing feedback as not just a way of giving feedback, but as a way of developing your people. So at Toastmasters, a speaker will give a speech anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, and then they'll have an evaluator. That evaluator is taking down information such as eye contact, vocal variety, and then is also going into what you did well, what you could improve on, and how you can be challenged the next time. This is really taking in the 3 C's that we're talking about today. I've given countless amount of speeches at my Toastmasters, and I've gotten great feedback to terrible feedback. I want to focus on the terrible feedback for you. As a leader, it's important that you have confidence going into giving feedback. And the times that I've gotten really bad feedback is when the person, the evaluator, wasn't confident about providing feedback for me. Hey, Michael, how do I evaluate you? You're a great speaker. You coach people on public speaking. You're a presenter. I don't even know where to start. You did nothing wrong. Flawless presentation. On the surface, it sounds like, hey, that was pretty good feedback. I walk away, yay, I did well. But as the speaker, that feedback didn't help me improve. It didn't help me grow. I've gotten so many different types of evaluations like that, and they don't really help me. But here's the great feedback that I've received. And here's where the evaluator really put that coach's hat on. I was walking up to give a speech recently, actually, and my evaluator stopped me before I got to the podium. And she said, hey, Michael, what are you looking for in this speech? In other words, what do you want me to evaluate for you? And I thanked her. I said, Isa, thanks so much for asking me that question. I want to make sure that my 3 points that I'm sharing in this speech land with you as an audience member. I got back after my speech to my seat. My evaluator went up, and the first thing she said was, "Great speech, Michael." She instilled some confidence in me. She said, "Here's all the things you did well." She was clear about them all. And then she provided me with the constructive feedback that I needed. You gave us 3 points. You shared and articulated those 3 points in a really great story. Here's where it fell short, and here's what landed with me. She then put her coach's hat on and said, "Hey, Michael, if you were to just tweak the story just a little bit in this way, you'd get all 3 points in so that they resonate with me." My challenge for you next time is to share that story again, make that little adjustment, and I look forward to your next speech. Man, that kind of feedback, when I get it, is so impactful because I'm able to go back to my notes, take a look at the speech, understand what she's talking about, and make that adjustment for the next speech. Let's bring this all together. Strong feedback is clear, constructive, and coaching oriented. If you want to create a feedback culture that's positive and enjoyable, follow my 3 C's. And if you're a leader who's helping grow a team and developing a team, then follow my YouTube channel for more content like this. And check out my Amplifying Leaders podcast and my Amplifying Leaders newsletter on LinkedIn. All of these resources are going to help you as a leader develop your team, which is what feedback is all about, and is going to help you develop as the leader that I know you are. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe, like, and comment below on which feedback tip was the most impactful for you and your team. I'll see you next time. Stay happy and stay healthy. Bye, everyone.